Welcome back, Gothamites. I'm London, aka History of the Batman. In Batman's 79-year history, the character has proven time and time again that he represents the ultimate human with peak physical and mental capacities, yet still illustrates emotions and flaws which we as the audience relate to. And like most comic book characters, Batman has experienced death. More than once. But even when he comes back to life in some way, it still takes a toll on his psyche and his evolution as the Caped Crusader. So, for this video, we are going to highlight 5 memorable times that Batman has died within DC Comics, which will demonstrate that even Batman cannot hide forever from his own humanity. But of course, before we jump into these 5 highlights, why don't you subscribe to this channel and become a part of this awesome Gothamite community? Okay, let's begin! Our first death happens during the awesome Bronze Age of the 1970s, which as a whole was a huge transitional period for Batman, leaving the campiness that he represented within the 1960s and going back to his gothic roots from the pulp fiction times of the 1930s. One of his many publications during this era is The Brave and the Bold, and one death within this publication is in Bob Haney and Jim Apparel's 1974 story, The Corpse That Wouldn't Die. I absolutely love that name. That's merch. So, Batman is tracking down a kidnapper of a little girl, and he goes to this abandoned warehouse where he gets electrocuted. Commissioner Gordon finds the body, takes him to the hospital, and the doctors say that he is brain dead and his organs will slowly begin to shut down. Luckily, witnessing this is Ray Palmer, aka the Atom. And when Ray sees his friend Batman, he decides he needs some time alone to say goodbye to him. When actuality, he shrinks down to become the Atom, and he literally goes inside his brain to stimulate activity, which brings Batman kind of back to life. So not only does he take Batman to go find the kidnapped girl and brings him back to the hospital, but also all of the activity that the Atom has done within Batman's brain has actually revived him back to normal. All the doctors can say that it's just a miracle that he's alive when he was surely dead. Now, it's a really crazy story, but the one thing I really like is that when Batman is in the hospital, he actually has all of his, the cowl is on and he looks like Batman. The doctor decided, no, we can't take off the cowl because we don't want to know his identity. It's crazy Bronze Age storytelling. Just as crazy as the Atom bringing Batman back to life just to save a young girl. Just as this story epitomizes the awesome storytelling in the Silver Age and the Bronze Age of Batman tales. It's the starting point to show that Batman just really can't stay dead. I don't think the writers, the artists, creators, or even us as the audience really want to see Batman just gone forever. Okay, on to our second death. That's so weird to say, on to our second death. That's quite morbid, but you guys know what this is. Our next death happens in Frank Miller's 1986 4-issue arc, Batman The Dark Knight Returns, illustrated by Klaus Janson and Lynn Verley. Of course, I'm sure you are familiar with this story whether you've read the comic or you've seen Ben Affleck's Batman and Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. But this is a story of a 55-year-old Bruce Wayne coming back to don the cape and the cowl after retiring. In the story, when Superman is asked by the US government to take down the Dark Knight after his return, this leads to the ultimate battle within Crime Alley. Of course it's Crime Alley, right? I mean, Superman literally asks Batman where, and he's like, Crime Alley. There's got to be more places in Gotham where he wants to hang out, you know? I understand the connection with his parents and why all of this Batman stuff's happening because of his death, but, you know, you couldn't meet at a deli, you know, you couldn't meet at Robinson Park. Just, I don't know. Whatever, Crime Alley's here to stay, I guess. We can break down why Batman defeats Superman in this Crime Alley duel. 1, Superman was weakened due to a lack of sunlight, so he already wasn't at his peak, you know, awesome Supermanness. Batman receives help from Oliver Queen, aka Green Arrow. Batman has this amazing artificial exoskeleton that protects him from literally every punch that Superman, the strongest being, one of the strongest beings in the DC universe, can give him. And he has tons of kryptonite on him, which of course is Superman's weakness. So combined all of those things together, and Batman literally pummels Superman to the ground. After his last punch, Batman dies. His heart literally gives out. So now we have the city mourning Bruce Wayne, which, how'd that happen? And Batman gone? What's going on? You know, we're not going to put two and two together because we don't need plot holes. But at Bruce Wayne's funeral, which Superman attends, he faintly hears a heartbeat. And he knows that Bruce Wayne is actually alive, which he is. He slowed down his heart. Carrie Kelly, aka Robin, in this universe, digs Bruce Wayne up, and they begin a new underground group where Bruce can low-key bring justice to his city. So even though this death was basically staged by Bruce, Miller's The Dark Knight Returns is both one of Bruce's greatest successes and one of his greatest deaths. And not to mention The Dark Knight Returns really jump-started the adult graphic novel craze in the mid-1980s and brought Batman to this even darker place within his mythos, which sparked media such as the Tim Burton films to other comics and just awesome dark Batman that you guys like today. That's just another reason why it's important, but the death is good too. Okay, our next death is one of the many reasons why that Batman and Joker need each other in their lives. In the 2000 arc, Superman Emperor Joker, the Joker is given all the powers of the universe thanks to, okay, I'm probably going to pronounce this wrong, and I am so sorry, Mr. Mxyzptlk. That's what I think it is. But the imp, Mr. Mix, we're just going to call him Mr. Mix for just this because we just are. Magical imp, Superman's magical imp, because Batman's magical imp is Batmite, who rocks. So Superman's guy, I guess. And so with all of the powers in the universe, Joker not only destroys the Justice League, but also repeatedly tortures and kills Batman. Just over and over again. He kills him, he comes back, he kills him, he comes back. All in different ways. So in Joe Kelly's conclusion, Joker realizes that all of the power in the universe won't matter if Batman's not around. So there's no reason to torture him or to even have these abilities, so he surrenders his power back to Superman's magical imp. There's a lot to unpack if Joker is willing to get rid of all of the power in the universe just so he can keep Batman around. That's a whole different issue that I am sure we could talk about in another video. But concluding this story, Superman decides to take all of the memories that Batman has obtained after going through all the torture and death that Joker put upon him, because Batman was literally destroyed by all of the physical, emotional, and mental just heartache that he went through. And the only person that could deal with all of this is, of course, Superman. So after this, his memories are removed and Batman is just back to his awesome self. Alright, our next death is thanks to Grant Morrison, who is perhaps one of my favorite writers. So if you aren't familiar, Morrison has dedicated a lot of his writing to the Batman mythology, including having an entire Batman run in the mid-2000s with arcs from Batman and Son, where he reintroduced Damian Wayne, to Batman R.I.P. Now, the next arc following Batman R.I.P. was Morrison and J.G. Jones' Final Crisis. The most Cliff Notes version I can tell you is that the Justice League is trying to stop Darkseid from becoming the ruler of the universe. And in 2009's issue number 6 of this 7-issue arc, Batman goes up against Darkseid and is ready to shoot him with this powerful gun that was used to kill Orion, Darkseid's son. Now this was a big deal at the time because in the current modern mythology of Batman within 2009, it was known that Batman was totally against firearms because this weapon was used to kill his parents, so he vowed never to use guns. But because we don't want Darkseid ruling the universe, I think it was cool for an exception. And so when Batman shoots the gun, it does wound Darkseid, but the blast pretty much sent Batman into what is known as the Omega Sanction, and all that was left is Batman's charred corpse. So of course everyone believed that Batman was dead. This was the longest period that Batman actually was dead within comics. It was a literal year in the outside universe. And the status quo of the Batman family changed drastically, including Dick Grayson taking up the mantle as Batman. Of course, Grant Morrison details Bruce Wayne's return to the present in Batman: The Return of Bruce Wayne, which shows Bruce Wayne traveling through time to get back to present day Gotham City. But anyway, Bruce Wayne returns and then he starts up Batman Inc. and it's going right into the New 52 era. And of course, Dick Grayson finishes up being Batman and he goes back to being Nightwing. Now, our fifth and last death for this video is actually a more modern one, and that is thanks to the creative team of Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. Prior to this arc that we are about to discuss, Snyder penned the core issues of the story Death of the Family, which, if you aren't familiar with the early New 52 Joker and the whole he cut off his face, got his face back, pinned it, and just became even more insane than he ever was, and decided to go after Batman and the Batman family because he believes that Batman isn't his most Batman with all of his allies. So he's like, I'm just gonna eliminate everybody so it's just you and me. I mean, that makes sense. At the end of this arc, Joker seemingly dies, vanishes, disappears, and you don't see him for actually a very long time within the comics. But then we're on to the arc Endgame. The Justice League, besides Batman, is infected with this horrible Joker toxin that makes them want to kill Batman. So Batman, one by one, has to pick off all of the members of the Justice League and then track down who is behind spreading this Joker toxin so it doesn't affect other Gothamites in the city. Who's behind it? Why, it's Joker! Surprise? You shouldn't be surprised. Yeah, he disappeared and you don't know where he is, but Joker's always there. He's always there. And all of this culminates into the final battle that Batman and Joker have within these deep caves within Gotham. And Joker, being his Joker self, rigged the entire cave with explosives, set them off, and it seemed that both Batman and Joker died next to each other after the cave just imploded upon itself. Of course, Bruce Wayne didn't die. However, Bruce Wayne did lose his memory. He had amnesia and had no recollection of him ever being Batman. So while Bruce is going through this, whatever this is, Commissioner Gordon actually becomes Batman for a brief period of time, which is actually pretty cool. I loved the suit. It was kind of awesome. Without having to be Batman, Bruce is happy. He's living a healthy life, is in a relationship, is just thriving. Of course, when a new threat named Mr. Bloom comes to Gotham City and is bringing terror to the streets, Bruce decides that he has to become Batman to stop him. And even though Alfred is begging and pleading him to not become Batman and to live a normal, healthy life like he's been doing, Bruce says, I have to be Batman. So, of course, what does he do? Which I know all of us can do. I don't know why if someone lost their memory, they can't just do this. Alfred just implants his lost memories into Bruce's brain and he remembers everything as it was. And both him and Gordon's Batman fight together to stop Mr. Bloom, and everything works out fine and Bruce is back to being Batman. Now, even though Bruce technically didn't die, in a way, Batman died for a period of time, right? Or at least Bruce Wayne's Batman. Because with the amnesia, he didn't remember that he was Batman. So we actually lost the Batman that we have read and loved for decades, for a pretty good chunk of time. But of course, he's back now, which is always the case. Batman always comes back, which I think is a perfect way to round out these 5 deaths. One of the best qualities that I think, not just myself, but maybe you guys too, love about Batman is his humanity, his human side. It's really cool to see these stories, even if you think of them as failures and Batman can never lose and he can never die. It's okay for him to lose. It's okay for him to die because then we see that he is human, he has flaws, and it pretty much shows that Batman cannot run away from his humanity or maybe his fate of death. But don't worry, one of the best things that happens with these stories is that it proves that Batman is even a more extraordinary character than we already thought he was. Thank you guys so much for watching this video of 5 times that Batman has died in DC Comics. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a bat thumbs up. As always, all of my social media is linked in the description, so please give it a follow and become a Gothamite. Check out my reviews for Comicosity, and of course, please subscribe to this channel. It would mean so much for you to become a part of this Batman community. Thanks so much for watching, and we will have more History of Batman soon, right here on YouTube. Remember, Gothamites, it's all about peace, love, and Batman. Bye.